rough night.
Hello Ghostbusters fans and welcome to Risky Business. In this episode we'll be wrapping up our history of Ghostbusters video games. In previous episodes we talked all about the 1984 Commodore 64 game and the various ports, and we went through the 90s and all the way up to 2009 for that big hit game that we all love so much. So you're probably thinking there haven't really been any Ghostbusters games since then, but you'd be partially right. There have been a few odds and ends, and you may have missed out on some of them. They're pretty curious, so we're going to check it out. In 2010, Japanese company Fujimoto-kun released a Ghostbusters Pachinko machine. This interactive gambling machine contains both clips from the movie and 3D animated sequences. Pachinko is a popular game in Japan, and it's sort of like the Japanese equivalent of a slot machine. But the game itself is very different, and it's a little bit more like pinball. If you've ever played one of those little plastic pocket pinball games, it's kind of like that. Back in the world of console games, there was a digital-only release in 2011 that kind of flew under the radar. Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime was released on the PS3, Xbox 360, and Steam, and it's basically a top-down twin-stick shooter kind of like Smash TV. The characters and enemies definitely feel true to the Ghostbusters universe, and the frantic action is broken up by these comic book style cutscenes and some quick time events. It feels like a co-op shooter but doesn't have that much depth. Sanctum of Slime has an original story in which the players take on the role of a new crop of young Ghostbusters who seek out and defeat a demon called Dumazu. The game was universally panned, with players and critics alike stating that the gameplay was tedious. This game was quietly retired in 2017. In 2012, the Ghostbusters entered the world of augmented reality, with Ghostbusters Paranormal Blast. This game was similar to Pokemon Go and challenged players to travel around their city to bust ghosts. The game contained 6 avatars to choose from and a number of challenges for Ghostbusters to overcome. Despite being heavily promoted at PAX East and San Diego Comic-Con, XMG Studios shut down Paranormal Blast sometime in 2014. I was unable to find out exactly when. Some reviews found online say the game was boring with too much grinding and too many ads. It's a real shame because it's something that sounds like it could have been great. I would love to walk around my town busting ghosts. In 2013, mobile developer Beeline released a Ghostbusters RPG for iOS. Cutscenes remind me of Shockwave Flash, and it's a lot of on-screen text, but it looks pretty good. The player takes control of a Ghostbuster franchisee following an original story, and the individual Ghostbusters in your group each have a role to fulfill, similar to the common tank, damage, healing trinity familiar to most RPG players, and they can use and upgrade a variety of weapons. The game mostly revolves around the Ghostbusters climbing the Gansfield Electric Tower, of which 25 floors were completed before the game was retired. Existing reviews seem to be mostly positive, with some complaints about the microtransactions, although it seems like this was mostly well received. I think the biggest problem with a game like this is that it was only on iOS. I think if it was available on iOS and Android, it probably would have tripled or maybe quadrupled its player base. You may not know this, but Apple iPhone only has about 25% of the smartphone market share. This means for everyone who has an iPhone, there's 3 people who have an Android phone. LEGO fans may remember the PS4 game LEGO Dimensions, which contains a number of LEGO-fied scenarios from tons of different intellectual properties. One DLC pack contains a scenario based on the original 1982 film, with some liberties taken obviously, like added areas for example. It has the typical fun LEGO gameplay, including lots of light puzzle solving, hidden trophies, and light-hearted humor. This one's a little weird because I don't remember LEGO ever releasing any Ghostbusters sets, do you? Shockingly, it wasn't until 2016 that Stern finally released a Ghostbusters pinball table. The artwork on the Premium and Pro tables features a sleek Ecto-1 on the side, while the limited edition table features Slimer. The table even features the voice of Ernie Hudson. The original table got poor reviews, with many users citing that the game was unfairly difficult. From what I could gather, a later update featured several improvements that made the table less punishing. Have you played Ghostbusters Pinball? Let me know in the comments! In 2016, Ghostbusters Slime City was released on mobile devices to promote the reboot, and this game plays a lot more like an action shooter. It allows the player to choose from a number of avatars and even has asynchronous co-op. It's the first Activision release since the console game, but it was taken down very shortly after it came out, and I wasn't able to find out exactly why. Reviews say the game does a poor job of explaining itself, the gameplay is too complicated, Health regeneration takes too long, which means you can only play about 1 or 2 missions a day, and the game is tedious and just feels a lot like a low-effort cash grab. Another Ghostbusters AR game was released in 2018 that was called Ghostbusters World, and it was developed by Next Age. This title looked to succeed where Paranormal Blast had failed. Capturing ghosts is very similar to how Pokemon are captured in Pokemon Go, with both basic and AR modes available. Ghostbusters World contained a story mode, daily challenges, and over 150 ghosts to bust. Unfortunately, it didn't quite set the world on fire, and it was discontinued 2 years after its release. Such a missed opportunity. I really wish that there were another game like that maybe is promoted better and maybe plays a bit better, because this seems like a lot of fun. Maybe when my wife and my son are out there collecting Pokemon, I could be out there busting ghosts. The Ghostbusters returned to the world of LEGO in 2020 in a turn-based RPG for Android and iOS, and that game is still available, but be warned. Microtransactions and gacha mechanics rule the day here, so if you're like me and you find these mobile collecting games annoying, it's probably not for you. And with that, our Ghostbusters video game history is wrapped up. So what's next for the Ghostbusters? Will Ghostbusters Afterlife and Sony's new initiative to expand the Ghostbusters franchise lead to more quality games? Or will we be subjected to wave after wave of shameless cash grabs? Only time will tell. So thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, look, you know the deal. And until next time, game over, I'm going to be coming at you after this, hot off the heels of the most recent Nintendo Direct, with a few RPG retrospectives beginning with Chrono Cross and Radical Dreamers, and I'm going to go take a look at all the games that Nintendo is releasing or re-releasing or going to be re-released based on that show. And we're going to talk about the original versions, go deep dive into the history, the trivia, the gameplay, graphics, music, all those things in the next few episodes of Risky Bitness. Once again, remember, I am a full-time dad. I am a full-time working person. This is a hobby for me. I do these in my spare time, so please help me out with a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time.